Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last. Mothers and fathers.
How much honesty is expected in relationships? Welcome to Making It Last podcast. I'm your host, Noreen Daly, where it's all about having better relationships. Not just with ourselves, but with other people. This time around, we have Georgette Baker, mother, youth leader, among other things. Kayson Black, uncle, businessman, among other things. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Happy to be here.
Now, how much honesty is expected in relationships? And remember, when we talk about relationships, it can be work, church, family, whichever angle you want to take it. So who will weigh in on this first?
I believe that honesty is not necessarily measurable.
Okay.
So to answer how much is somehow a difficult place to begin. But honesty is a value that is often overlooked, and the overlooking of it has been detrimental to relationships, home, school, play, work. And maybe in my little tea party of how I think of life, there is need for honesty, there is need for a responsibility and all some other things. And if the honesty is missing, that ingredient, then the tea in my mind is less than ready to be had. So beginning with that, I think how much honesty is becoming a little problematic for me to answer right up front, because I don't believe that you can measure it in terms of amount or percentage.
I tend to have a different approach on that, in that people tend to think that honesty has to do with strength in some sense. So, because I'm a strong person, I must just speak my mind, or I'll tell you what I am, or tell you how I feel. However, but I think honesty is based on maybe timing and at the moment that you're in, even your geographic location that you're at that moment. So honesty is, or how much honesty is, based on a number of factors, and it's also needs to be told in context and also in love. It's measured in some sense by my own standard. So I have a different approach as it relates to honesty.
Give me an example though, because from what you just said, you said in terms of timing and context, which means that only in certain contexts I'm expected to be honest.
For example, my truth. I'm speaking my truth. And I think my truth must be spoken with the aim to uplift the person rather than letting the person feel like, you know what, you did this and it was wrong. And I just want to put you in your place. At some point. So, or even in context, I might be speaking my truth to you, say when we're face to face, we're in a private, in a more intimate or private setting. Okay. As opposed to we're at a dinner or we're out. So I must speak my truth to you in that. So in that sense, I think contextually we can weigh the honesty as opposed to saying, it's measurable in that sense.
Okay. Listeners, you're not able to see Georgette's face, but if you could, yes, you would recognize that she's not agreeing with what Kayson is saying. So your response would be?
I believe that you delay or assess the time and space and timing of something does not make you any less honest about it.
Okay.
I believe that if I'm at dinner with my family and I needed to reprimand my child and I choose to wait until I get home to not spoil the dinner, doesn't make me any less honest. I will be just as honest as if I did it right there. It should have been inappropriate for the setting, but I don't think it has to do with the measure of how much honesty. I will be honestly saying, you ought not to be picking your nose at the table.
Okay.
And if you're talking about tone and manner, that's a different thing.
That's a different thing.
In my mind, honesty means saying, responsible young man, you wouldn't want me to let your girlfriend know that you pick your nose at the dinner table.
My view on that part is not just about what you say, but also how you say it. In no way at all am I confusing the fact of saying little white lies, but at the same point in time, there are different ways of expression, of expressing oneself without feeling as if, you're limited because of the setting in and of itself. So
Okay.
while I'm at the table and I'm saying, hey, you know what? I mean, little indicators, even gestures can basically be truth without having to say at the table, stop picking your nose. I mean, I feel like if you're with someone who probably would know you or understand you, they would probably perhaps know your likes, your dislikes, those things that irk you in some sense
Okay.
or not. So I feel like with that said, and those understandings that you have, honesty can even be portrayed not just in words, but even in the delivery of one's body language or one's gesture.
So, Kayson, I think I hear you agreeing with me that the honesty would still have been portrayed in, because I could at that same dinner table, and I still do, give one look, and I would be honestly saying, you ought not to be doing that. So, for me, it is not a whole much of honesty. It's all the honesty that I have in my heart that my son knows. Do not pick your nose at the table.
Yeah, but I think the thing that you would say then is, or I'm not hearing then, is you're being honest to protect the person or to build better relationships rather than just being frank and saying, this is who I am and this is what I want to say. So that's where we we depart, we dissent a bit in terms of our views on our perspective on honesty.
And maybe that is a fact, because my reasoning about honesty is that if you are going to judge me for the motive I have for being honest, then that's a different matter.
Okay.
If I'm honestly saying to my teenage daughter, there's a little odor, I'm not gonna go at an AY meeting and use it as an example. I would find a way to. But I'm honestly saying, girl, you gotta use a baking soda. You have to do something. But I'm honestly saying it. It's not. It doesn't have to do with the protection of anyone. So I'm just saying that I honestly want you to know that I don't wish for anyone else. And I mean, as you probably know, I have an adult daughter, I have adult nieces and nephews who I give advice. So I've had to deal with those things, and I honestly am saying, I don't want anyone else to tell you this. So I'm honestly wanting you to know. So my view about whether the tone is right or the setting is right is a different matter. But my honesty is not measured. I'm giving my full % of honesty, whether it's to a business partner, my husband, my children, my nieces and nephews, who I have a number of them, or whoever it is. I'm giving my full 100 of honesty.
One of the examples that I personally use, we said the story of the woman who had the accusers in the Bible, and all those men were around her, and Jesus started writing in the sand, and then they started to disappear. At the time when they were there, you realize that Jesus himself did not say to her, did not actually even reprimand her at the time. It was after she left, he said to her, woman, thy sins have been forgiven thee, go thy way and sin no more. So I think within even context, he chose not to say all these things to her for them to hear, but because he wanted to guide her. He knew she had a problem, but he wanted to say, listen, maybe this is not the right time to give this to you in the way that I'm giving it to you, but I just want you to understand that you have a problem and this problem needs to be fixed. And so he chose to have that kind of one-on-one with her to say, this is what it is, and this is what you need to fix. This is what you need to correct. Excellent
example, Kayson, which I believe you are helping me to get my point. I believe that Jesus was just as honest in full 100 to have not said to the men there, I know you slept with her. I know you slept with her. But he was honestly making the point by writing what he did on the floor. And it was not 50% of honesty. He was being honest, as equal as he was being honest when he chased them out of the temple because they were selling in there. That he might have been upset and showed it doesn't mean he's any less or more honest. So that's why I'm saying that I really can't reconcile how much of it, unless you're going to judge, is she being sincere today? And you'll be judging me. I'm just saying honesty is 100% in my mind all the time.
I want to throw something in there then. So I'm going to ask both of you. Is it then that the level or the degree of honesty is going to depend on the type of relationship, or that's not a factor at all?
My answer to that is no. Honesty is honesty any day of the week, any time of the year, anywhere you are.
I depart a bit. I depart a bit from that response because I'm going to give you in context. For example, a guy dating a girl and going out on the first few days, there are perhaps things that he would probably say to her, but he would not say to her straightforward because he's still hoping that, hey, I want this to work out. However, you're married now and you're with your husband or your wife. You may be different. You may have a different approach in terms of how you say, listen, you did this, you messed up. I think in context, or even say, you know, a child and, you know, a father and daughter or mother and child, you know, you would basically perhaps say to your daughter, explain the situation first and say, this is what is happening. This is what my position is on this. I'm kind of disappointed that this is happening with you. And then you probably, you know, say, this is what I expect of you, as opposed. So there's a little bit of sensitivity in how you approach each scenarios, I believe. And so I think in being honest as well, is that I think those things, it digress.
Maybe I don't call that honesty or not honesty. Maybe what I call that is appropriateness. There's no way I'm going out on a date with someone for the first time and share everything about me that the person needs to know. So I am being honest with myself.
But how do you say it? How do you say those things?
Honestly asking you to be honest with yourself. That because we want each other to be honest, we will share information in stages.
That's right.
I'm not going to begin by saying, girl, I'm a virgin, and boy, I'm a virgin. So you don't have to share that, but I'm just saying you're honestly saying all the truths you need to say. If what you think is appropriate for a first date has been said, you have been honest.
So you're basically saying then that there's no different way to speak your truth. There's just one way to speak your truth.
That's how I see it. There's one way to speak your truth, but timing may differ.
Yes.
Location
So
may differ.
different context.
But in context, but there's one way to be honest.
Yes. Which is what I was saying originally. So I'm not debating the fact that we have to be honest, but I do believe that there's certain factors, certain elements that we have to consider. As you said before, timing, as I said earlier on, timing and location, or how you speak your truth, who is there, or how many persons are there at the time, you know. So am I on a one-on-one, or am I in a crowd where I need to take it to a corner and speak to you? So you realize that those things for me might just be, you know, the deciding factor, the make or break moment. So, yeah.
For somebody who's listening and thinking, this is all well and good for you to say that, but when I try to speak my truth, or when I try to be honest, people get offended and they're hurt, and sometimes it's irreparable damage to a relationship. What then would be your response to that? And this is, I mean, any type of relationship.
That usually depends on the strength of the relationship. If the strength or the stage of the relationship is shaky, then you're likely to get that kind of feedback. But there are some persons I have in my life who we don't talk every day, but we know each other for years, and we just pick up where we left off the last time, and I can just say my truth, and I don't get people being offended. But if it's someone who I don't know very well, I have to be cautious. But it doesn't mean that I should be any less honest.
I think
Kayson?
I speak this in context of how familiar am I with this person.
Okay.
So I think waiting and gauging where the relationship or who the relationship is with or the person is very important as well. Because the things that I might say, frankly, to my brother, you know, I perhaps would not say that to one of my other brothers because of the relationship that we may have. Okay. You know, so because people tend to be, how one approaches a situation or how one reacts to a situation may be different from how the other person reacts. But the fact is, the truth has to be told in any sense. You know, I believe in being absolute, being true. There's no, I mean, but the fact is, some persons believe there should be no sugarcoating. But truth But honesty is honesty. It's not a matter of sugarcoating it, but the fact is that it's how you say it.
Yes.
And, you know, gauging who you're talking to, you know, because there might be some persons who are very fragile in some sense, and, you know, you might just say something simple and they might just, you know, end up in tears.
Yeah.
While you may say it to maybe 5 or, you know, 6 other persons, and for them it's like, okay, yeah, I understand it. Yeah, accept it. Yeah.
In a few words, how much honesty is expected in relationships? If somebody's and they got nothing else, how would you just sum up that response right now?
Since I'm going to attempt to ask the question exactly how it is worded.
Yes.
How much? My answer would be a 3-letter word.
Okay.
All. All of honesty is required in all of our relationships.
Yes. And my approach would be speaking the truth from your heart, but speaking it in a way that benefits others. So that's my way of gauging my honesty.
This was Making It Last podcast. If in some way you didn't quite get the answer to our question, how much honesty is expected in relationships, I'm going to hope that in some way your mind was stimulated to help you to have better relationships, not just with yourself, but with other people. Until next time.
Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.